You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey folks, welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast. I'm Carlos.
I'm Mike.
I'm Wayne.
And we are a podcast about how we game, but on Thursday nights, we got the DJ horn. I love it. On Thursday nights, we are a podcast about how you game when we have the phones working, which today we will. Today we will be a call-in show again. First off, I want to say thank you to Rob, to Mike, to Wayne for covering me last week when I was out. Y'all busted out some awesome topics on the fly. Came up with a great show. I think 2.5 hours of content.
Yeah, It was good. We were going strong.
Comments throughout the day, throughout the whole show. I'm watching the comments. Folks chatting with y'all in the comments. Although they weren't able to call in, they were able to participate. So that worked out great. We're going to go back to the standard format tonight where we provide a topic for you up front. We keep the phone lines closed during that topic, but then once the topic is done, we open up the phone lines and we take your phone calls to talk about the things that we talked about or just completely change the topic to whatever it is you want. Because during the call-in show, when you call in, you're the host for 10 minutes. Oh, look who's up early. Our man Edmund England. Wayne, you got it. I'm releasing control of the comments. Wayne is doing me the engineer for the evening. He's doing the share screens. He's doing the comments because he and I think alike. Like at the same time, we push the same buttons
every time,
and we look at each other and laugh like nobody else knows what's going on. Edmund England out of Sweden says hi. Hi, Edmund. I've seen you chatting in the Discord. So that's a reminder to you folks, check out the description in the YouTube chat as well as the Twitch description. There's a link or at least the URL to the Discord where you can have conversations with all the beans right there in the Discord about what we're talking about and your favorite games, your top 20s, and then your top 5 disappointments. I think that's on the list too, right?
Yep. Top 5 hits and top 5 misses.
For today, we're going to keep this top 5 thing going.
Yeah, but I think congratulations are in order, Carlos, right?
Absolutely.
The latest member of the Cabrera family.
The new expansion.
The new expansion.
The latest DLC was downloaded. Baby Cabrera number 5 came home today.
Congrats.
So, this is the last one, correct?
This is the final.
But you can always adopt.
Yes, so we're not done. We're just, we're putting the brakes on the Cabrera piece. It's
good man.
4 boys and 1 girl. So it's our final boy. We call him the caboose. It's Caleb Miles. People keep asking me, "Oh, well, why Miles?" And I'm like, race cars. Mike understands.
Yeah.
I like race cars.
I hear you. I hear you.
It's a good name. It's a good, strong name. I like it.
Yeah.
He came home today. Name. We spent 9 days in the NICU, so thank you for covering me last week. He was born last Tuesday, 5 pounds, 11 ounces. Beautiful baby boy. I guess when you're born early, they want you to go to the NICU until you clear. Thank you, Chester, for the congrats. I'm just trying to build my own game group. Like, the part of this community is to fill the gaming needs. My goal is I want a game wherever I go.
Diego.
My son will be called Kilometer. Get out of here with that European. Him and his euros. I'm staying to the king.
Kilometer.
Thank you, Diego. Thank you, folks. Thank you for the congratulations. I appreciate it.
It's good stuff, man.
Now, Wayne, we're keeping this top 5 thing going because it was so much fun last week to listen to it. What's our top 5 this week?
So we came up with an idea of what are the top 5 games you're going to play this holiday season. We know that next Thursday is American Thanksgiving. And a couple weeks after that, we got Christmas. We got a lot of family coming to town. May not be able to get out the crazy big gamer games. Maybe you can, depending on your family situation. I think we'll talk about our family situations a bit. So just kind of like, what are the 5 games that you think you're going to get played this holiday weekend or week? And so I think about just rolling right into that. So just my rationale on the 5 I came up with. Is
I see what you did there, Wayne.
What?
Rolling right into it.
Rolling right into it. It actually isn't rolling right.
I like that.
It's not rolling right on my list, though, surprisingly. But no, so for me, it was a game that I own, obviously, so I'm not going to go out and buy a new game for this. And, I know that we used to have huge, like Thanksgiving pre-COVID used to be 30, 40 people in my mother-in-law's house. It's not quite like that anymore because people don't come from out of town as much. It's really just going to be more of an intimate family thing. So it's a 9 and an 8-year-old, 2 grandmas, and then me and my wife and my sister-in-law and mother-in-law. So it's a relatively smaller group. So it's got to be games that can play with, 8 to 80, right? And or every now and then maybe the 4 adults, the parents might be able to break off and go play a game. So my list was kind of like a mixture of games that I know I can play with my mother, my sister-in-law and brother-in-law, my wife, and then but also maybe incorporate the grandmas and my kids and my niece. Yep, that was my list. That's going to be the 5 I chose. So I don't know about
right, and that's a great caveat to explain because we're not doing the top 5 games for holiday play.
Right,
we're doing the top 5 games for our holiday. Like that's how I took it. Like what Cabrera family is going to be playing during the holidays.
Yep.
So it could be completely different and weird than what you'd expect for you and your family, but and we're going to justify it. We're going to give you the reasons why.
Sounds
Mike, how about you? Same thing, similar?
Yeah, mine was pretty much what I own, or if one of my family members, because my oldest son, who actually lives here in Seattle now, he has a few games, and he's got the grandkids at his place, so sometimes he'll bring the games that they enjoy playing, but his kids are pretty, they're pretty sharp like yours, Carlos, where they pretty much play games. Like it may say 14 to whatever, but his 9-10-year-old is getting in there, mixing it up with all of us. So I think
at minimum pushing the pieces around, right? May not be competitive, but able to push the pieces around, take some actions, impact others in their gameplay.
Well, like he, before they moved here, he would with my oldest son, Matthew, and his, my grandson, Graham, they would regularly go to Magic Commander tournaments, and Graham could hold his own against adults. Like he would build his own decks, and he understood what did what. So, like he's pretty good. And sometimes it's like, whoa, he ends up kicking our butt sometimes. But anyway, getting back to it, yes, it's pretty much games that are within our family or that I own, and at least something that can handle 5 to 6 people, possibly more. I think for our Thanksgiving, not everybody will probably be playing games. Not everybody is that interested in it. But I also try to incorporate something that everybody would enjoy, or I feel that families could enjoy together as a group, that I will definitely be pushing to play this holiday.
Yep, cool. All right.
What about you, Carlos? What was your...
Well, with new baby coming way earlier than we expected, changes our holiday plans for like Thanksgiving. So it is going to be a much more reduced household. So I'm going to have to find those fun games. And I was going to do this, right? Like the honorable mentions.
Yeah, I
sort
have
of,
a couple.
and those that were impacted are the ones that play well at the larger player counts.
Right.
So I think some of my honorable mentions are like slightly more complex games that I think my kid and my wife, like we could get in with like 3 or 4 of us in the crew. It's really the biggest thing for me is I have a niece that's like 7 or 8, and she's not as much of a gamer as my son. So like a more complex game, she's not going to get into. So I had to go pretty light for some games. So.
All right,
let's get this going.
Do we do the honorable? Okay, that's the question. Do we do honorable mentions before, or do you do them after? Like
I might do them during. Just like say this is my 5, but if I had to replace it, I might replace it with this. I don't know.
All right, well, I'm just gonna go before. Here's my honorable mention.
Honorable mentions.
Because we're not doing the big family get together.
Hold on a second. How many crossovers do we think we're gonna have?
Ooh, crossovers.
I think at least 1 for me.
Guaranteed 1.
Guaranteed 1. I think we kind of know what it's going to be as well. But guaranteed 1. I'm looking through my list here, but you guys go ahead and think about it.
I'm going to say Well, okay. I think we. Ooh, see, we're gonna have a game on the list. The question is, does it cross over exactly on the same number? I bet it might. I bet that it might.
Oh, you think so?
I think
bet that
it'll
our number one is gonna be the same.
The same. I think our number one will be the same. I'll even. I'm going all out.
By
All
you
in,
saying that,
right?
That's probably true. Go ahead.
All right, but I'll say two crossovers in total,
Okay.
because I think our tastes are going to change drastically from there. But the one that I'm thinking of is going to be all in the same spot for all of us.
Okay.
I
Sounds
think
good.
That's my
that's
thoughts.
fair
Yeah,
assessment.
fair
there.
assessment. So, you want to go first, Carlos?
Okay, so honorable mentions. Normally I would say Skull would be on my list no matter
By
what.
the
all
way,
the time.
Did you see they released the second edition?
Did they? Interesting.
It comes
What
in
did
a
they do
pink.
different?
It comes in a pink box now
Okay,
instead of the purple one. I don't think they changed anything because the artwork looks pretty much the same to me on the discs and the squares that you flip over. But like I'm seeing it everywhere for like $15. There it is, right there.
Oh,
Yeah,
right here. There you go. Yeah. So it just comes.
It
in a
looks
pink box.
pretty
my
much
hope
the
is that they changed the disc at least color wise, because even the rules talk about playing this with 12.
Well, I was thinking like you can mix both boxes and play 12.
Yep, that's because the rules talks about having two boxes and playing with 12. That looks the same.
I don't think
Exactly
it
the
matters
same.
what the discs look like, though.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I mean, it's whatever's right in front of you, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to
I might have-
interrupt.
Might have to bring that one now. That's a good one.
He's scribbling, changing his
I
list.
don't know about you guys. I don't know about you, but I always, every holiday I go to, I end up bringing a bag of games. Like I bring up 10 games and we play 2 or 3. You know, it may be
Right.
that, if that.
That's
Some
how it
days-
goes.
Sometimes some holidays don't even play any, right? But yeah, I always bring like 10. And then,
But
the
I
one time
find
you don't
Skull to
bring any
be-
games, everyone wants to play them.
They ask you that year that you get salty and you're like, you know what? The last 3 times we've done this, we haven't played anything. I'm not bringing anything.
Right.
And then they call you out on it. Oh, you didn't bring nothing?
Like,
Like
how
we
come
were
you didn't bring
ready.
any games? You always bring games.
So true.
All right, so
man.
that's one of them. What
Yep,
else you got?
let's see. And then my other honorable mention kind of fell off my list this year. Point salad fell off my list.
How many does that play up to again? Is it 6? Okay, yeah, that's a good party game.
It's
a good
light. It's great, and it
Easy
plays
to
at
get
6.
people into. Yeah. Agreed.
Any honorable mentions for y'all?
I'd say like I'm gonna bring them, but I don't think we're gonna play them. That's why I didn't. But I'm gonna bring it in the Footsteps of Darwin because I think that's a light, fast game that we could play with the 3 or 4 of the adults. And then the other one is Quacks. I was gonna bring Quacks and try to get that in. So, but I took out both of those and put in one harder, longer, more complex game that I think the 4 adults will get into, and that'll be on my list. You'll see why.
Okay. Nice.
Mike, honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. On Tour, which is a roll and write. And the only reason I'm making it, I have enough boards. I think I can play up to 18. We never play that many because I don't think I have that many people together at one time. But there are a couple of choice people in our group that every time that I suggest it, you can see the look on their face and they really don't want to do it. So that's one. And then my other one is Century Golem Edition.
Oh, that's a good one.
And it's kind of limited to 5. And the only reason I'm probably not going to be playing that this holiday is just because of some of the other games that I've got that could be taking their place or taking its place. But that one was probably my number 6 right there.
Nice.
All right, so let's get this thing cracking here. How do we decide initiative order? I think the Dice Tower's done this before. Chucking dice. Chucking dice for initiative order. Let's see here. I got some fancy schmancy big D6s.
I'm talking about.
And I don't even, you know what? I can just do this. There you go, camera. We're just going to move you around. All right, Mike, this is your role here. Mike with a 4. Mike
I'll
gets
take
a
it.
4. Wayne, 3. And Carlito, 6.
Mm.
Oh, placata. So
Carlos,
it'll be
Mike,
Carlos, Mike, and then Wayne
there we go.
in that order.
Change
All
the
right.
order of the video. So.
Go for it.
All right, Carlos.
Camera back on me. Hey, folks, I'm back. All right, so my number 5. We're going 5, right? 5 down.
Yep.
My number 5, already mentioned as a
Oh, okay.
honorable mention. Footsteps in the Footsteps of Darwin, and this is a man. It's tile
2 to 5.
placement, right? So you got some area tile placement where you're trying to place in on a grid in order to meet like orthogonal or diagonal or requirements, but you're drafting or selecting tiles from a main board. The selection system includes a boat, a ship, I should say, that sails around, which limits what tiles you can choose from. Your goal is to try to discover creatures for Darwin. Darwin is now old. He's hired you to go out and finish his explorations, find new creatures from different countries, different types, to get matching sets, to get bonus points. It's so fast at about 30 to 45 minutes tops at 5 players. Not many games play at 5 that well. This one's 5, right? I'm not crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep, 2 to 5.
That's part of why it's on my list. But so easy to teach and so beautiful. This is 5th on my list for a reason, because with it being such a small family gathering, there's not going to be as many of the gamers. So I think this is going to be the one that I can introduce. Hey, let's sit down for an hour, learn a new game. This is that level. Darwin, in the Footsteps of Darwin.
Chester, it's pronounced Blakita, not Blugada.
I love it.
Spanish is not his first language.
I love it.
That was a good pick.
All
I mean,
right.
hey, it was a good pick because
That
it was nearly a crossover. So
Yeah.
Nearly.
And I was gonna say, the more you guys talk about this game, the more
It's fun.
I feel the need to play it. Just even though I know it's not like gonna be this totally deep, strategic game. It's just something that looks really enjoyable, and the way that you guys have been talking about it,
I think
it definitely seems
production
like something I would
value
want to
makes
do.
Yeah, the production value just really makes it sing. Like
That's another
it's a
thing.
nice
Like I heard
game. It's insane.
the size of the box to how much it weighs is like ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a shocker when it came to the doorstep. I was like, wait a minute, no way. There's a lot in here.
All
All
right.
right, Mike, you're number 5.
All right, my number 5. The reason this is on my list is because this is very easy to play with younger kids. It's a ton of dice chucking. It's a Reiner Knizia game. Look at Carlos's face. And anybody can play it. It's super easy. Age of War. Total small
wow.
box.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And my grandkids absolutely love this game. Even the youngest, Griffin, he's just like, can we play Age of War? And it's just funny to watch the two kids constantly going after each other to try and steal each other's land. So the basic premise of the game is person with the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Once all the lands have been conquered, the game ends and you count up the points. But basically, you are chucking dice you choose a land that you want to conquer. You chuck the dice, and you're just trying to match the face of the dice to what's on the card on the right, top right corner. Once you collect it, you've got a point value on that card. There are sets of cards that, if you don't have the set, anybody can go after your land and try to steal it from you. The way that they steal it from you is matching the same dice faces, in addition to the one helmet or whatever you want to call it. Thank you. In the top left corner. If they do that, then they steal it from you. If you happen to get the entire set or color set, it locks them in and you flip them over and it's worth a little bit more points, but now nobody can go after those lands. And again, once the last land has been conquered from the middle of the table, the game ends. So you can kind of like let the game go on a little bit longer by not going after that last land. And again, I mean, it's so easy. You're just like, all you do is chuck dice and match the faces. It's pretty simple to explain, and you can get into it. And again, it's like one of those little small square box games that you can just hop to it. And I'm trying to remember. I don't know why I can't remember his name now. What's his name that used to be in our group? I don't think we hear from him much anymore. But anyway, he was the one that introduced me to it one game day, like one of our monthly game days. And I was just like, yeah, this isn't groundbreaking, but this is a fun game. Like, it's just a simple filler, or, with kids, it's very easy to play. So that's my number 5, Age of War.
Nice.
It's that Yahtzee mechanism that makes it so easy to teach.
Yep.
Because, the whole 3 rolls until you decide to stop rolling.
Right. There's that mechanic as well. Yeah.
It's just so easy to teach that. Everybody's played Yahtzee before.
Yep.
This one came out last Thanksgiving, and my cousin and my nephew were both kind of like meh for the day. But then I busted out Age of War. They see the samurai. They're into anime. Next thing I know, they're at the table. They're yelling at each other. Yep. From all the Japanese that they've learned from the watching like straight up anime. So they really dug it. They got into it, and then there's that cutthroatiness of it, where if you haven't taken the whole clan, if you don't have the whole house, there's a threat to be able to take it from you, and then the anger that occurs when it happens. So good choice.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a good one. All right, my number 5 is I'm going to pull it right now. It's Draftosaurus. Come straight out and say it. It's
that's a good one.
2 to 5 players. Yep, and it's one that's easy enough that what my goal is, we're gonna go to my mother-in-law's real early in the morning. We usually get there to watch the parade, so I could bust this out during the parade and teach one side, and then afternoon teach the other side, and then later in the day play it a third time and say, okay, now let's do both sides back to back, right? So you can kind of break it into chunks. I think it's going to be easy enough to teach where maybe one of the grandmas would play it. It's really just pick a dinosaur and go, and you got to know some rules for each little paddock, but they're very simple. So I think it's simple enough that I could probably get the kids and the grandparents to play, or at least one of them, and we can break it out. You can just play one side, just play both one, either side, the other, or play both sides. So I think this is one that could hit the table a couple of times during a long sort of Thanksgiving Day type thing. So easy to play, fun pieces to play with. I think the kids would enjoy it. So my number 5, Draftosaurus. So did you ever get the expansions for this one? No.
I'm not rubbing it in. I'm like genuinely curious.
You bought them, but they never showed up.
Yeah, I bought them and they never showed up.
Yeah, I think they showed up on my doorstep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not bitter at all about that. It's just like take that paper cut, and it's good. I'll get them eventually. But yeah, those deals were almost too good to be true. But it is what it is. So, but yeah, I think this will be a fun one. The fact that it plays 2 to 5 is good because like I'm saying, we could play different combinations of family members, and I think if you just play one side of the game, you could be done in 10 minutes. It's a fast game, so it'd be good. So Draftosaurus, my number 5.
Good choice.
My number 4, Scout by and apparently there's a new company coming out with a different version of Scout. This is the one from Oink Games, and in Scout you are shedding cards from your hand in order to play sets. Sets include cards that match or cards that are in a run, so like a sequence of cards. The goal is to place down a set so powerful that no one else can beat that set with a higher run or a higher number of matching cards. If you are the next player after somebody drops a set on the table, if you're not able to play a set bigger than what has been dropped, you must take a card from the center of that person's hand, thus reducing the power of that hand that was played out of the active hand, as they call it, that was played on the table. If no one is able to play a hand more powerful than what you played, by the time it comes back around to you, that ends the round and we score points. You're going to score based on if you were the player that triggered the end round. You're not going to be taking any negatives for cards left in your hand. You'll score points for whenever anyone takes cards from your active hand. So you get some points that way. And then you have negatives for any cards you have left in your hand. So you don't want to have a handful of cards at the end of the round because you're going to have a bunch of negatives. The cool part about this game is the cards are double-sided. Double-sided? Is that the word we'd use?
Yeah.
You can,
the way you orientate
not double-sided. You can rotate their different values
them
on the top.
The
and
top
bottom.
and the bottom have different values. So when you have the hand, you draw the hand you draw cards into your hand. You cannot change the sequence in which they're in your hand. You can only reorientate the hand by flipping it around to say, this is my set.
Right. Your entire hand.
Yep. And you have to play cards that are consecutive in your hand. So not only are you trying to figure out what to play, but you're also trying to figure out how to manage your hand so that you get cards together, grouped together in your hand that you can play. Fast, as in, I'd say about 30 minutes. I know it says 20 on the box. I've tended to find 30 minutes is how long it takes. The reason it's number 4 on my list and not higher is what you just heard me try to do is explain it, and it's hard.
Yeah.
It's just so hard. Like I can't grasp how to explain this game, and then I get those dead stares, those glares from my family. Like, what are you talking about? And then I say those words that they hate to hear. Let's just play around. Trust me. Like, no, some folks want to know, like Rob, everything beforehand. So that's why it's not as high on my list, because although the game isn't complex, teaching it takes a little bit of effort.
A little bit. You have to have some trick-taking background to kind of grasp it, and then you got to add the whole flip it back and forth. Yeah.
When everybody's stuffed with turkey and stuffing and sweet potato casserole, that's not when they're learning the best.
If you want to feel better about that, Carlos, I have played this game once at a friend's house. They explained it to me, and I felt like an idiot. The way you explained it, I understand the game more than the way from how you just explained it to me than how they explained it to me and playing an entire game of it. Because the whole time I'm like,
what am I doing?
The whole flipping around thing, but it was the cards in the middle, and just by you saying you're trying to make their run or set less powerful by pulling a card out, that alone, the light bulb just went off over my head. And I don't know why that didn't click earlier, but you explained it better than they did. So
there you go. Nice.
Achievement for myself. But you know what you don't know is the hours I spent in bed with the night light, the little nightstand light on, reading that rule book over and over, trying to figure out. Like, I read it in English, translated it into Spanish, and then said it out loud in English again to try to understand, how am I going to teach this?
That's funny.
Scout.
Yeah. It's a good
choice.
Mike, number 4.
Were you going to say something, Wayne?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Go. Yep.
All right. My number 4 is a game that came out last year, but I didn't get it till this year. This is Bone to Pick. This will play up to 6 players, and this is I don't want to say semi-cooperative game, but the premise of the game is everybody has you're defending your town against these zombies that are coming toward your town. So there's 10 zombies that are of varying difficulties. Everybody has the same set of cards in their hand, or that you start with, and it's basically like you're fighting the zombies with different types of weapons. So you have 12 cards total. You have 2 zeros, you have 2 2s, and then 3 through 10. Like, that's the power of your card. And the way the game plays is, and you can, sorry for the people that are only listening, but on what's up on the screen there, like in the middle, you can kind of see the zombies. The number in the top left is the point value of the zombie if it is destroyed, like if you defeat it. The number along the right side is the power of the zombie depending on how many people are playing the game. So like that tan one there, if there's 6 people playing, that zombie has a power of 50. So what you do is you all start with the same cards. You pick a card, you put it face down on the table. Once everybody has chosen their card, you flip them over at the same time. You're trying to get a total of the zombies' defeat number or higher. And then whoever played the highest unique number is the one that gets the zombie as the trophy. Here's the twist on it, though. Each zombie, if you don't defeat it, will do damage to your town. Once your town gets 3 or 4, if you're making it easier, once your town gets 4 damage, some zombies will do 2, most of them do 1. Once your town gets 4 damage, then it kind of reverses, and then it's not who has the most points, it's you're going to lose if you have the most points left in your hand. So it's this constant balance of, do I play the higher cards to try and defeat this zombie? Or do I play the lower cards to get them out of my hand because I know there's going to be tougher zombies coming? Or if I don't play these higher cards sooner, somebody could tank the game. Most people don't. We kind of play, friendly like that. But
you haven't played with Rob or Dan in this game, right?
Right. So that's the basic way that you play. But you can play, kind of like a scenario where there's 4 rounds. And if you are the leader, like if you defeated like if you survive, if you have the most points or zombie points at the end of that round, then you're dealt 3 upgraded weapon cards and you choose one and you swap it out with one of the cards in your hand. And you could swap it out with the 0 or you could swap it out with the 10 or whatever. But typically those cards have special powers. So it'll say for every other ranged weapon played this round, this card is worth 2 more points, 2 more hit points. So you could be playing lower cards, but still it'll be worth more points. And again, they're unique numbers. So you don't want to, and that's the other thing is like, well, I know I could play a 10 here, but I know at least 2 other people at this table have a 10, and this zombie's a pretty high number. So it can go either as high or as low strategy-wise as you want, and it's very easy for kids to pick up. You're just like, throw a card down that you think that we can defeat this zombie with. It's very easy. So once you use that weapon, then of course it gets discarded, and you're only left with what's in your hand. But plays very quick, very easy to teach, and there's other expansions for it that kind of add even more depth to it. But at the basic level, it's very simple to teach, fast to play, and it'll play up to 6 players.
It's crazy. I've never heard of this game.
That's
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, this company is the same one that did Asonia.
Okay.
And I backed that one on
You did a video on that one.
Yeah, that's my one game. And when I saw this video, this Kickstarter start, I was like, this actually looks really interesting, even though I think it'll be, not so deep as far as strategy. But I'm glad I picked it up because everybody seemed to like it when I introduced them to it. So bone to pick. Nice. That is my number 4.
Reminds me very much of Smirk and Dagger's Cutthroat Caverns. I don't know if I'm talking too old. That's an old one.
Never played it, but I've heard of it.
Yep, it's you're dungeon delving. You got to be the one to strike the last blow. So you do things to kind of mitigate your damage, reduce how you hit in order to be the one who hits the last blow. But you can all lose together. So it's that trying to work together to get out,
right?
But also be the most hero of the heroes. So a lot of the feels in this one. But this seems simpler and more modern.
Yeah, I like the artwork. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, the artwork's really cool too. Yeah. All right, cool.
All right, my number 4. I'm bringing it up right now. I kind of type it ahead. It's funny. Last week I would talk about the games forever and then not mention it, and Mike's like, mention the game. So I think this one again, 2 to 6 players. So we have 8 people or so in the house. So and some people can be cooking or watch TV, whatever. But Sushi Go, spin some for dim sum. This one came out this year, actually, excuse me. And it's a kind of a variant on Sushi Go. I think this one, I chose this over Sushi Go because of the toy factor. You know, this little spinny plate with the squishy thing in the middle. So I think this would be a little bit more of a hit with the kids. And it's a little easier than Sushi Go Party, because it's you go, I think it's 12 different dim sum and you score. So it's another fast, light game that we might be able to play a couple times during the day. I can teach it once, walk away, and the kids can play, or some adults or grandparents can play. But it's good. I think it's, again, the toy factor, the spinning around. And I figured Thanksgiving, you got to have like a food-based game on Thanksgiving. This would be good.
True.
My wife's family has Chinese heritage, and we love going to dim sum and stuff like that. So I think this will be a hit. They'll kind of get into the idea of spinning around. So
it comes with a plushie, right? Like a little plush.
Comes with a little plushie in the middle. Yeah, little one of them. It's fast. You play one round on your board, you fill your board, you're done. So it's a quick game. And it's, all the rules are basically on your little sheet, so the kids can read. They can see, okay, if I click 4 of these, it's worth 5 points. If I do 2 of these, it's worth 8. Or if I do, this, it's worth that. So a very easy game to teach, but fun, quick playing. We can kind of crank through it a few times. So and Nick Oben here says it's a great version of Sushi Go. It's a good choice. Yeah, I think it's good for the toy factor. Be good for the kids, and the easy rules. So fast.
Agreed.
So Sushi
and
Go,
I have a confession to make.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about Sushi Go Party. That would have made my.
I touched it. Like it was in the box as I'm building the bag for this. Literally, these games are going in the bag. Like they're going in the bag for Thanksgiving. As I'm building the bag, I grabbed the tin, thought about it for a split second, because it has made it to Thanksgiving before, and then kind of put it back.
Yeah, that would have made my probably number 8 or 9 on my list. Sushi Go Party. This is a good choice. I've never played it before, but the way that you describe it sounds like it would be totally perfect for something like this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You have this little. It's got this nice little lazy Susan. And so you can you put your plate out, and you either take the dim sum in front of you, or you have to put a chopstick, and then you get to rotate it. So you get to rotate the little board around to get what you want. And you see around your main board there, those of you on the podcast can't see it, but you have kind of a menu, and you're going to put the dim sum around your menu. And once your menu is full, game's over. So it's 10, 12 turns, whatever it is. And then each combination of dim sum scores differently. So odd number of this, or most of this, or set 2 of these, and then you have like little menu cards too, where if you take a menu card, it'll have 4 different dim sum. And if you have that on your menu, you get an additional 4 points. So this
is going on my wish list.
It's a pretty quick, fun little game. The lazy for I think it's $20 at Target, right, or something like that. So it's a very cheap game. The actual Lazy Susan works well. It doesn't spin freely. It's got like a little clicking in it, so you just click it and it goes around. It's not going to overspin. So the production value is good. The cards are very cheap. They're a little flimsy, but other than that, the little squishy thing, and for $20, it's worth it. It's a fun little game. I think most games last 10 to 15 minutes max. So it's.
I think I can convince Mrs. Cabrera to go to Target.
It might cost you more than $20, but yeah.
$200 later, I walk out with spin some for dim sum.
Nice.
All right,
good choice.
Carlos, number 3.
My number 3. This is very, very particular to the Cabrera household at this moment, because of the family situation, but seeing my uncle and having taken Flamme Rouge to the house, to his house for dinner. They invited us over for, we get together, once a month or so as a family. And he likes bikes. He likes riding bikes. He's the one that introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons, but he never really plays board games with me. He's Puerto Rican. It's dominoes or brisca. It's it. Like if we're playing a game, there's nothing but dominoes, right? Or brisca. And I said, Theo, I got a game. Theo means uncle in Spanish. About bikes. You like bikes. I see you with your bike. So we busted out Flamme Rouge on his table and set it up. And I think I described it here on the show. Once we completed that game, I was so glad we got to play it as a family, enjoyed it. And he said, oh, no, don't put it away. Let's do it again. So we re-racked, right? So that tells me when I see Theo for Thanksgiving, we're getting Flamme Rouge to the table, because we talked afterwards. We were looking through all the pieces. He's seeing the hills. He's seeing the uphill, the downhill. the pebble path or the cobblestone paths. So the expansion's in here for Peloton, and the eyes are widening up, and it's like, okay, Flamme Rouge is coming to Thanksgiving for the Cabreras.
Does the Peloton expansion increase the player count, or is
It does.
still 4? Oh, it does.
Yeah, it makes it, I think,
It goes
6.
6. Yeah.
And you can
nice.
play up to 12, where I think it's 12. Is it? Well, yeah, where each of you gets one of the bikes. I think there's some team rules in there.
And I know next year they're coming out with a like a not a legacy expansion, but a campaign.
Yes. I'm excited
very
about
cool.
that.
Yeah,
I was telling Theo about that. Like, Theo, we can do like, Tour de France, like all of it.
Nice. It's a good one. Got to have a racing game. It's good. I looked at a couple of racing games to put on my list too, like Flamme Rouge, but I was thinking more Snowtails, which is a little easier for kids and stuff. So yeah, cool. I like it.
But the kids play Heat. So this was an easy transition when I taught it to the family at my uncle's house because they've already played Heat. They're used to that. This was almost a, I'm not going to call it a dumbing down, but there's not as much math involved. Like Heat, you're mathing the corner, your hand, your play,
Right.
you're controlling a lot more risk that way. This one to me feels a lot less stressful because you're not paying for it until later, right? When
Right.
you run out of cards and all you have left is
Yeah.
exhaustion.
When you're like pedaling across the finish line because you.
Yep.
Nice. Cool.
Number 3, Flamme Rouge.
What did Chester say there? He said a re-rack is a vote of confidence.
Vote of
Is that
confidence.
what-
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
It
definitely.
is, isn't it? Doesn't, like you feel like you sit a little taller. Like I did it. Like
Yeah.
I got my family to ask me to play something twice.
Yeah. Very cool.
All right. Number
All
3.
right. My number 3 is Cascadia, but because I just got it with the
Landmarks!
Landmarks expansion. I haven't even opened it up yet, but I do plan on incorporating that into the box here probably tonight. The expansion expands it up to 6 players, which makes it awesome. They give you more scoring cards for the different types of animals, and then they give you landmarks, and you can make it you can make it a little bit more complicated if you want. But the reason why I love Cascadia, I mean, I've touted this from the get-go, is it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at this game, you are always going to get points at the end of the game, and you can always look down in front of you and say, I created this landmass, and it's very simple to pick up. This animal can only go on the spots that show that type of animal on this landmass. And even if you're not paying attention to the scoring cards, which some of them can get a little more complicated if you're not used to games like this. But if you just tell somebody like, look, all the little Brussels sprouts, which are the forest, I call them Brussels sprouts, just make the biggest batch of Brussels sprouts as you can, make the biggest batch of mountains as you can, and pay attention to just one scoring animal, and you'll get points. That's the cool thing about this game. Kids can play it, and once you explain it, you're taking a tile and an animal that's paired with it, and you're putting it in front of you. Doesn't even matter where it goes, as long as it's one flat side to another flat side. So anyway, my number 3 is Cascadia with the Landmarks expansion.
Yeah. So this might have made my list if I owned it, but it made the other list that we were talking about doing tonight. So
Oh,
It's
the
funny
one that you would
'cause
like to have under your tree.
Ditto. Spoiler. I've been researching the landmarks, and I think what I like about it is because, man, right now, number 6 on my top 20 board is still Cascadia.
Nice.
Of my top 20 games played in 2023, Cascadia is still number 6 up there. Researching the landmarks has been exciting because of the idea that you're adding those landmarks, but it's not like a mandatory. It's not an obligatory. It's an option. You want to get some more different end game scoring bonuses? Choose to grab these landmarks. They're going to give you ways to score at the end of the game. Want to keep it super simple? Just play the Cascadia game. Other people won't mind. Just play it as you remember it without the landmarks. So I love the idea of adding landmarks.
Nick Oben says # Brussels sprouts forever. And the only other thing that I love about Cascadia is, like certain land masses, or certain types, you have your fields and, well, they have the prairie tile, which is like the entire tile is prairie, but it's a salmon spot. So we call it wheat salmon, the wheat salmon came out. Look out, like, where is the salmon going to be living in this prairie? I don't understand this, but they made they have 2 tiles in there with the wheat salmon on it. So that's like the inside joke.
Yeah, it's canned salmon. That's fell off the back of the wagon going to.
If you're watching the documentary, Attenborough would tell you the bear grabbed the salmon and then walked it across the prairie and dropped it off. It slipped out of his mouth in the other body of water.
Okay.
Nice.
That's how you got your run.
Yep. Aaron chimed in there. He said, just play Cascadia tonight and have the expansion on my Christmas list. Awesome.
He's with us.
I think you'll like it.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. All right. So
All right,
my number
Wayne.
3. My number 3 is a game that I don't know how many gamers play it, but Bananagrams. And so
Play this all the time.
Yeah, all right, good. The kind of the background on it is, I think, we have 2, my kid's 9 and my niece is 7 or 8. And then we have 2 grandmas, right? And my mom has some memory issues, and so she does a lot of crosswords and Sudoku to try to keep her mind going. And so this is the kind of game I think she hasn't played it yet, so I'm gonna bust it out this Thanksgiving. I think she's gonna sit down and play this with the grandkids and just love it, right? Because she loves crosswords and building words. So I think this is something that is really good for elderly, for old grandparents and the kids, and it's something you can play and walk away from, and they can kind of make up their own rules and make up words, but you play by the rules. It's a fun, fast game. My kid and I play it all the time, and it's just fun, fast, and it's something I think that we could bust it out on the coffee table while we're sitting watching football, or in the afternoon, kind of just hanging out. You can have it on the table, and people can be playing it while doing other things. So my number 3 is Bananagrams. I think it's a fun, fast game. I think it's a game that you can clearly play with any age group. So, yep, that's my number 3, Bananagrams.
Every time I'm in Target, I pick it up and I shake the bag, and I'm like, I think I want it. And then I always set it down.
It's fun. It's really fun. It's just a fun game. Mike, you say you play it all the time. What are your thoughts?
My wife and I play this regularly. I'm happy to play if my wife suggests, hey, let's play a game tonight. I don't care what the game is. I'm down, because getting your spouse that normally doesn't play games to play games is tough. So we break this out regularly. But I was going to say, there's also a kids version of this where some of the tiles have 2 letters together, like a B and an R, or a T and an H, ones that kind of go together, and they're colorful, like the backgrounds are colorful. So if you have even younger kids, sometimes I would say that the kids version of it would be even easier to get to the table, and you could play with them with that.
Nice. I mean, like, Carly, if you like, not Scrabble, but like word searches or crosswords, you're making your own crossword, right? So you can kind of come up with anything you want. It's fun. Like I said,
it's those Bakelite tiles that keep drawing me to it. Those, the clackety clack.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and the cool thing is like, once you have words made and you have like letters, you're like, oh, and then you start deconstructing other words to move the tiles around to make words with the letters that you have in your hand. Like, I've torn half my stuff apart just to make one word over here and then figure out the rest, because it was such a hard letter to use. It's a cool game. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think you can often get this at like Target or Walmart for $10, $12, and I think for the price, it's a really just a good game. I think, like I said, I think it really works well if you have young kids in the house, and I think this is something. If you go to grandparents and go, you've done crosswords. Well, here's what it is: you start with 21 tiles and make up your own crossword, right? And then if you can't use a letter, you can throw a letter in, but you got to grab 2 or 3 more, right? And you just got to keep this go. I think it'd be good. So, yeah. Bananagrams.
All right, it's going on the stocking stuffers list.
That's a good one for stocking.
That's
I
a
gave
good
this
one.
to my kid last year for stocking stuffer. Yeah. All right, Carlos, go ahead.
Get down to the last 2. These better be good.
Yep.
I think mine is. Green team wins. I've already espoused how much fun this game has been for my family. The conversations that have come from it. Green team wins is so simple in what they did here. Like with what they did here, these are those times when you see somebody come up with something and make money off of it, and you're like, I could have done that. Like it's just a deck of cards with some questions and a whiteboard. Like I totally could have made this up. You're answering questions on a card. So you're going to flip a card. It's going to have a question. It's either going to be a this or that, which you have to choose one or the other. It's going to be a fill in the blank, or it's going to be pick the best of three. Everyone then writes down on their whiteboard the answer that they're choosing to that card that got flipped. What you're looking to do is be in the majority of folks that answer that question. That gets you on the green team. Once you're on the green team with the majority, you want to then stay on the green team because you're only going to score points if you're on the green team. If you are in the minority group, you're going to be on the orange team and you're not scoring points. So it's not just answering what you think is best. It's looking around at the folks around you and deciding what do the majority of these folks think is best when the question is diving boards or water slides, right? This or that. Pick one. So you look around the board to try to decide. Me personally, I think in an older group, I'm just going to ask the question out here. Y'all can comment on your thoughts, diving boards or water slides. If you're playing with a younger group, you got to go water slide because of liability. Like, I don't know the last time I've seen a diving board in a pool because of the liability risks. They've all been taken out. But if you talk to some older folks, right, back in the 90s and 80s, diving boards were everywhere. You remember in the old Florida motels, they all had diving boards, and they were amazing fun. Man. Right. So do you see the thought process, the meta of the game? Like, I look around the table. Yeah, my uncle would say diving board because he's old. But my kids have never seen one because they're young. Like, they got taken out in the aughts when everybody was suing people for diving boards. Green team wins. My number 2.
This may or may not be on my list, but I think we played this at Dice Tower East with like 10 or 12 people, and it was fantastic. Like my God, there was one clue. It was Jennifer blank, right? So you had to write in Jennifer, right? And there was 10 or 12 of us, and it was literally perfect. 5 people put Jennifer Lopez, 5 people put Jennifer Aniston, and it was like the debate on how. What do you mean, Lopez? It's obviously Aniston, right? And it just went back and forth. And
English speakers against Spanish speakers.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to plant that card. I will plant that card. So when we go to the Miller house, because my wife's Caucasian, when we go to the Miller house in the morning for Thanksgiving, I'm going to plant the Jennifer card and see if Aniston is like
is the primary. And then in your
right. And then when we go to the Cabrera house, which are all the Puerto Ricans. And I'll report back.
What came to your mind first when he said Jennifer? Was it Lopez?
Lopez. I put Lopez.
You know,
what was yours,
he told me that story. I did not have the opportunity to not be tainted.
He was breaking down the
equipment from the show. We were doing the live show out of Dice Tower. So somebody's got to put it all back in the bag. So I was working the equipment while they were playing, and the laughter and the hilarity ensued, and then he came over and told me the story.
Oh, that's funny.
But Mike,
and I still don't know which one I would pick.
What came to your mind first, Mike?
As you were saying it, Aniston popped into my head immediately. But once you said Jennifer Lopez, I was like, "Yep, that one too." Yep, I'm not gonna lie, you know,
Jenny from the block.
Yeah,
it was great. This game.
Look at Diego Lopez. See, Latinos Unidos.
I told you, man. Latinos versus Caucasians.
Let's say that this game causes like a social
conversation.
Yeah,
like the post conversation,
ethnic, male, female. How does your mind view things? Like there was one of these photos on BGG had curly versus waffle fries. That came up too. Like,
ooh, them fighting words, bro. Them fighting words,
right? Yeah, that's a.
We could make a whole show on this game.
And I was talking to my wife about that. Like, I want to find a way to do green team wins. Like here, like I was talking to her, like, trying to logistically, how do we do it live one day on the show with the community jumping in?
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Like Captain Blank, right?
Yep. Planet.
Captain Planet, Captain Tennille.
Oh, you're aging yourself there, man. I was going to say Captain and Tennille. That really ages me there.
Oh, wow.
That's what I said. No, I said Tennille, Captain Tennille.
The kids probably looked at you. All those the Diegos of the world, those babies out there looked at you.
No, it's Captain America. All right, this one's going on my wish list because I really had no desire to ever get this game, but I think it's because I really never understood how it played. I just never looked into it.
Spoiler,
this one
it's
is
my number one.
Oh. Crossover. That's my number 2.
Yeah.
Green team wins. Mike.
All right. My number 2 is from 2010. I think this plays up to 8 players. Hidden movement game. It is Escape from the Aliens in Outer Space. And this one is a little bit higher up on my list because whenever we get together at our friend's house, like our family gets together with their family, because this one plays a little bit higher count. They absolutely love this game. I own it. They went out and bought it after I brought it one night to kind of play it with them. But it's basically, it's hidden movement, but it's also hidden teams. Everybody's dealt a card secretly that kind of gives you who you are. You're either an alien or you're one of the people on the ship that you're trying to escape. And looking at if you go back one picture there, so there's different maps that come with the games, and you can print them out or whatever. But in the 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, and 4, those are your escape pods. And what you're trying to do is you are trying to make your way to an escape pod and hope that it's a good one that actually works so that you can get off the ship. But the whole time you're giving these clues as to, I'm moving here, and you give like a little hex location. And then somebody will go, okay, well, I'm moving here. And then you're like picking up a card, and sometimes you don't make noise. Sometimes you're making noise and you have to show exactly where you're on the map. But the whole time is, because the way the maps are somewhat laid out, you don't know if you started on the alien space. Like, you don't know if the other people at the table started on the alien space or started on the human space.
Oh,
so
gosh.
Sometimes you're hunting down other humans, or you're hunting down other aliens, or you're hunting down other humans when you're the same thing, when you really should be trying to get the hell off the ship. And it's just this hidden movement. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm going to attack this spot. And you're like, dude, I'm a freaking human. What are you doing? That who the other person is, but they don't know. This is such a fun game. I think because of the age, and you're showing the white box, I have the black box that looks like, it almost looks a little, because it only has like a little bit of a UV cover, a little bit of a UV on the cover.
The gloss.
And those aren't even it. That isn't even the right box. But anyway, I think it kind of turns people off. And then when you hear Escape from Aliens in Outer Space, people don't, it's sci-fi. I don't want to. It's just a hidden movement game with 2 different types of players, but you don't know who the other players are. Kind of like Bang the Dice game, but with hidden movement, I guess you could say.
Here's the feels I got out of it. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm feeling Captain Sonar with hidden roles.
I've never played Captain Sonar before. So
we got to fix that.
No.
So Captain Sonar's got that whole
yard.
Yeah, you don't know where the enemy is. There are times where they have to reveal an area where they're at, but it's got that hidden role piece where I'm liking the sounds of this one.
And if you're an alien and you kill one of the humans, then they turn into an alien, and now they're on your side, and now they're joining in on chasing everybody else around.
Well, see, then they have to start backtracking where everybody says they came from to try to figure out, did he start on an alien space or a regular space?
That's the box I have, and this is the older one that came with the spiral bound maps that are dry erase boards. So it's so anyway, this is my number 2 because the group that I know that likes it, the family that we will get together with regularly, everybody over there likes it, or most people over there like it, and it plays up to 8. I love this. This is one of my favorite group hidden movement games.
Interesting. Cool. Never heard of it. It's cool. I like it. Osprey Games. They're good. It's a good publisher. So.
Oh, is that Osprey?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is that
Great
Osprey
publisher. Historical publisher.
Yeah. Yep. Nice. All right. I like it. This is on my list to look at. Probably out of print, I'm sure.
No, you can get it pretty regularly now. It's pretty easy to pick up.
All right, so my number 2 is a stretch. It's a stress because it's a complex game that probably will take a couple hours to play, but I want to get it played, and I'll give a little background as I pull it up. But my number 2 is Obsession, and here's kind of why. So my sister-in-law and my wife are huge Pride and Prejudice kind of fans, right? They're both into theater, but like my sister-in-law loves Pride and Prejudice, and they go to all that stuff together. So I know that when this game hits the table with my wife and my sister-in-law, they're going to love it and they're going to want to play it a lot, like all the time. So I haven't had a chance.
Because of the theming.
Because of the theming. They like worker placement games, but the theming there, and I can hear my sister-in-law and my wife right now, like as they play the cards, reading off the names and like getting into a character and
Yes.
so and so Duke and Duchess this, and they're gonna go to the drawing room, and their theater minds are gonna hit, and they're gonna get into it, and they're gonna love it. So if I get it to the table, we will play this game, even if it's like we play it for a while and come back and forth during the day. I'll set it because my mother-in-law has a pretty big house, so I'll set it up in one room and just leave it. This is a game that I know when it hits the table, my wife and my sister-in-law are going to love it. We're going to play it more frequently. They're going to want to play it frequently. So I have to keep bringing it anytime I'm ever going to be around my sister-in-law, because I know if I get it played, it's going to hit. So it's kind of a unique situation. It's a little more of a complex game. And it's going to, for our family and the game group I have, you have to sometimes go, okay, what's a game that person, they're going to go, oh, I want to play that. Let's do it. And so Obsession would definitely hit with my my wife and sister-in-law, and it'll get to the table, I'm sure. So we'll see. Hopefully, if not Christmas, I'll keep bringing it till it gets played. But so yeah,
I love the concept you introduced there, Wayne, with your number 2, the concept of the stretch game for the holidays, right?
Right.
Like I'm with you. I've done that before. I've been the one who brought that game that, like, the likelihood of me getting anyone to play this game with me is low, but I really want to do it. So at the end of Thanksgiving, when I have to pack TI4 away after laying it all out and no one joining me, like the stretch game, like
but it's a stretch game that has a hook, right? Like I know the theme.
That's my mistake. Like nobody else likes sci-fi. Nobody else likes 8 hours of a game. Right. So why did I even spend my time setting up TI4?
Right. This would be a 2-hour game, because I would start with the short game, right? The short version. 2-hour game. I can get the two of them. We'll hang out, and the hook will get them. So that's why I chose. My number 2 is Obsession. It's the stretch game. It's number 2 because I love it so much, and I think it has a shot of being that complex game that gets played on a holiday. So Obsession.
All right, so this gets us to our number 1, and I had predicted a crossover here. So on the count of 3, after 3, we all at the same time just yell out our game. If I'm right, we're all going to say the same thing.
Well, hold on a second. Didn't we already determined that Wayne this is not his number 1?
Yeah.
Did we though?
Yeah,
I think we did. I thought he made it pretty obvious.
My number 1 was your number 2.
Oh, okay. So all right. So I'll just give you my number 1 then. I missed that. My number 1 is Ready, Set, Bet. Now, Ready, Set, Bet. I think I got my crossover on the same number. Mike, are you with me on this one?
The horses are in the pen.
Tell the folks at home why Ready, Set, Bet should be number 1.
I mean, it's so all right. So first of all, well, go. No, you talk about it. I'll
just talk about it from my family perspective. Being Puerto Rican, in my family, in Puerto Rico, horse racing is a big deal. There are many arcade games, like horse racing arcade games, that are just played for money, like in local bodegas, and it's a thing. Animal husbandry, I don't know what to call it, domestication. We got a lot of chickens, goats, and animals over there. Horse racing's a big thing in Puerto Rico. So is rooster fighting. Sorry, it's just something we grew up with.
Yep.
But you know what? It connects. Like right off the bat, my uncle even let me put it on his domino table. Look at that. He's got a domino table, which is only for dominoes. We put Ready, Set, Bet on the dominoes table. And we had to use the app. We don't we don't have a mic everywhere.
Oh, please. You could be yelling out in Spanish. That'd be awesome, man.
But it's so easy to pick up, and then you really want to draw in as many people in the room to play because it's so much better with more folks. Places are being taken quicker. Ready, Set, Bet is just that. It's a horse racing game, and you're throwing bets. The reason that it's different than just like any betting game where everyone can bet on the same thing is only one person can make one bet on each horse's betting space. So there's a limited number of betting spaces for each horse, and each one pays out different based on the horse number. So you're not only betting to see who wins, you're also trying to race to get to those spots before somebody else takes them. Because if someone else takes all the betting spots for that horse, you can't bet on it again. And some of them provide more reward with more risk, while others provide a nice balanced reward, but low risk. So you have to kind of decide when to bet because you're watching the race progress. In normal racing, you bet at the beginning of the race and kind of watch to see what happens. In Ready, Set, Bet, you're betting all the way towards the last 3 spaces or so of the race until the last 3 spaces are met. So you're kind of deciding, do I want to hold on to my chips, my betting chips, to the end of the race when I have more information on who's in the lead? Or do I want to get all the good spots now, those low-risk spots now, not really knowing what the outcome's going to be? It's just the emotions that come from it can't be beat.
Yep, agreed.
So Carlos is number 1, Ready, Set, Bet. Now Mike's number 1.
That is also my number 1. Big surprise. I will say you have to have the right group to play this game. It is good that they have an app for it because I think the app actually does a pretty good job as long as you, because you can like speed it up. Like if you go into the settings of the app, you can have it do certain things to kind of speed it up a little bit. That adds a little bit to the excitement, in my opinion. But just like Carlos said, I mean, it's just dice chucking, and anybody can play this game. Even little kids, you just tell them. I mean, you're kind of getting them into betting, which may not be a thing that you want to do. But you're just like, look, these chips in your hand, only one chip can be in each square, except for these round ones at the bottom. And let them go to town and let them get the thrill of, winning and losing money. And then they'll go off and become, addicted to gambling somehow. But I just freaking love this game. I will admit I enjoy being the announcer more than actually playing the game because I like the excitement of chucking the dice. And then when certain horses, when the same number comes up more than once in a row, certain horses will gain like up to 3 spots, and they'll be trailing all the way in the back. And then 2 rolls later, it's like they're leading or they're tied for first place, and you guys are coming up to the red line because no more bets are allowed after the red line. It's just a fun game. I will say, this is one of those games where they need to come out with an expansion for it. They need to come out with more of the exotic bets on the bottom because there's only 5 and there's 4 rounds per game. So it's kind of like you're limited. I wish they would come out with an expansion, and they need to release a map or a mat. Like a neoprene
deluxe
mat,
box
like
set.
a deluxe version of it.
Let's go, iron clays. Let's go.
Yep, exactly. Add a little more pizzazz. Make the horses a little bit bigger.
This is an heirloom game. This truly could be an heirloom game.
Yeah,
like the one game you want to pass on to your kids. It's that family horse racing game.
Right. I totally agree. So Carlos and I see eye to eye on this.
So the only reason
this didn't even make your
honorable
6, 7,
mentions.
8.
I don't own it.
Oh,
that's the problem.
Okay. If you owned it,
if I own it, it would have been on my list. Absolutely. Okay. So I don't own it. Carlos owns it. Diego owns it. Michelle, like everyone in the crew owns a copy. So I've always had it. But I'll tell you what, I do want a copy of this now. I need to go add this to my wish list because this game would hit with my family because many of my family enjoy casinos. We enjoy a little bit of gambling. We enjoy Vegas. So we've gone to Tampa Bay Downs and done the Sunday brunch and gone to horse racing. So it would hit. And then even with, like you said, with my kid and the young ones, okay, the put it on speaker and have it loud, and they would get into just the pageantry of it. So this would have made my list if I own a copy of it. Absolutely. It just didn't make my list because, again, I don't own a copy. But yeah, it would be hit my family given our love of casinos and horse racing.
Right. So I'm not the only one. There's that family connection to the theme. Because I remember when my dad said he was going to the horse races and he'll be right back. I'm still waiting, Dad. I'm still waiting.
Jeez.
Wow.
Wow.
All right.
I was gonna say that. I'm not even gonna go there. Never mind. Next.
Oh, Chester said it's that family horse racing game. Yeah.
Family.
Then, Nick Oben said he would totally buy a deluxe Ready Set Bet with no doubt. All right, so that's our number one.
That's your number one. I'm stopped. I've already shared the screen of it. So my number one is Ready Set Bet. Not Ready Set Bet. Green Team wins. Excuse me.
Hey, he fixed it.
He fixed it now. Green Team wins. I have not played it with my family yet, but I think it's going to be fun. I'm really interested to see if I can get both grandparents, both grandchildren, and then a couple of the adults to have 10-year-olds, 40-year-olds, and 80-year-olds to see.
Oh, wow.
the generational differences in choices. But this is again a game that plays up to 6, so we could play it a couple times during the day. We can swap out players. I think it's going to be a hit. I picked up a copy specifically to bring to Thanksgiving, so I had to put it at number one because it was a game I literally bought it a month ago thinking I need this game to go to Thanksgiving because it's going to get played. We're going to have to see how it plays with the a mixed generational family, multiracial. So it'd be fun to see how everyone chooses. So looking forward to Green Team wins on Thanksgiving.
You said it plays up to 6. It plays more than that, correct?
I think it plays 6.
It comes with enough to play 6, right. But if you've got some pencils and Post-its,
you
it's infinite. Okay, all right.
Yeah, it's infinite. Cool. Like the game comes with dry erase boards and pens up to 6, but you could easily. I might just print off 2 or 3 more of the base boards and
okay.
I have a laminator. I'll probably laminate it. That's good. Thank
Perfect.
Yeah, just a legal pad, is enough. Just write down your answer and show it.
I'll just photocopy the game board and laminate it, and there you go. Now I got a couple more. So
it's the deck, and that's where the infinite expandability comes in, and the theming of it. Like you can really get some theme decks or some decks that are more in line with your family group.
Yeah, and that's the expansions. Like, where's the Christmas expansion, like the holidays expansion with all questions about holiday? I think there is an expansion or a deck of
Disney or the MCU
promo, that's like a holiday based one's it is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
I'm pulling up Amazon.
There's only one answer.
Yes, it is.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Well, that was great. Being able to do this topic reminds me of the days we were doing podcasting. That I was participating in podcasting, so getting a chance to go through that list. But now we're going to turn the show over to the folks at home. We're going to open up the phone lines. 813-618-7099 is the number. Your chance to call in to take over the show. Your chance to call in and talk about what you're playing over the holidays that are coming up. What are your plans? Yeah. What are you playing? Tell us why we're wrong. Tell us why we're right. Because right now the show is really going to degrade. Like it's going to
nose diving.
Because we're just going to blather about whatever we got until somebody calls in to talk. So yeah, help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
All right. So I'm looking on Amazon. I know I should be supporting local game stores. I'm just looking on Amazon. Green Team Wins is $14.
Yeah,
I think it was down to like $7 or $8 at Target on clearance. My son
on clearance, some of them,
right. There was a time
buy 2 copies.
About a month ago. He was out and with the girlfriend at Target. She's heading off in the right direction, just like my wife. That them Target runs, but they had it for like $7 or $8. Like it had already been on clearance.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking on Target.
If you have a laminating machine, just buy 1 copy because you don't need.
Don't tell me how to live my life, Wayne.
All right.
Because if they have it at Target, they have $14 at Target. I've got a. Do they still have the buy 2 get 1 free?
So you buy 3 copies.
I'm going to buy 3 copies of it. Why wouldn't I?
18 players, baby. Let's go.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm set.
It was I think it was 10 or 12 person game that we had at Dice Tower East. it had us rolling with some of the questions because you had Diego and his wife, you had Michelle, you had me, you had Dan, Rob, Will, and it was all over the place with what we were choosing, and it was. There were some arguments, some not some friendly, heated debates on how dare you choose this one. Like,
Yeah.
I think it all started. We had Carlos and we had ordered pizza. We were doing the live show. Oh, there's a call.
Nice.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hello, happy Thursday. Good evening, gentlemen. This is Nick from Wesley Chapel, Florida.
Hello, Nick Oben.
Nick. What's going on, brother?
Good show, guys. Good show. That was fun. Yeah, I'm doing well. Doing well. Getting ready for the holidays, right? That's.
Are you also packing a family game day bag? Like, is that just a we thing, or is that like you thing too?
No, not gonna lie. I'm really glad that you guys had the show. Timely, of course. We will be going on the family trip, leaving next week, and so I haven't even actually thought about packing yet. It's still just far enough away. I got the whole weekend to pack or whatever that I haven't put a lot of thought into it. But now, I need to do that. That's what I'll be doing for sure.
See, but you added that constraint because that's a whole different top five, right? It's a whole different top five if I have to pack for a road trip. Because now I have to limit my space, right, for like actual clothes and stuff. So
well, we got a minivan. So it's it will be a bag. It will be a bag, but it'll be like as if I'm going to a game day. I'll do one of the cool stuff bags or whatever, so I can definitely fit 4 to 5 decent sized games. Although it's funny you mentioned that because one of the games on my list, as you guys were chatting, I was listening and kind of walking around my collection and realizing that my collection is not really holiday family weight. Like it's funny, we have a lot of family weight games, but I don't want my holiday family weight game to be the same as just my normal what I would play with my boys. Although I guess that's kind of fine. But one of them that I was walking around looking at here, this would probably be 5 out of 5 just because it's pushing the envelope. Well, Wayne had Obsession on the list, so I guess there is no worry about.
I had one that was I only had one that was crazy.
No, which is a great game. Great game, by the way. I do like it. I actually never played a physical copy of that game. It's a little weird, not going to lie, small tangent, but so much of my plays nowadays are on BGA that when I see, like I was watching the show and seeing the physical copy of Obsession and how like the tiles in one of the pictures you guys showed, the tiles weren't like lined up right. They weren't lined up nicely. Like they were just crooked. And I was like, oh, that's right. It's like a physical game. Ew, like things weren't lined up all nice and neat.
Right angly.
What Nick is going to pack is a 6-pack of tablets. So when he gets to the house with the family, he's just going to dish out tablets, and everyone's logged into their own BGA account.
That's right. Here's your BGA account, and let's rack and stack. No, I don't have 5 games, but I can tell you right now, this would probably be 5 out of 5. I can't imagine it would be any higher. Would be Wingspan. Wingspan, I actually have had good success at teaching this game to non-gamers just because birds are cute and everyone knows what they are, and then the actions are relatively simple, and I find that it plays nice at different player counts. Obviously playing up to 5, it can go way longer, but if you only have a few people that you kind of want to they're willing to play a heavier game. I like it. I like it for really any group, and it's non-confrontational. It's a gentle theme, right? You could maybe even get if you had an uncle who was willing to sit at the table but didn't want to be into the sci-fi thing or whatever. I don't know. So I like it. It's a fun game. It surprises people. Like, oh, there's a board game about birds. That's neat, I guess. So that's fun. The only other 2, where'd they go? Oh yes, not a surprise, but Marvel United. Marvel United is always a game I will pull out when I want people to just have fun playing a cooperative game where we're probably going to win and it's going to be fun and we can just sit and enjoy the decks and the being a hero and beating the bad guy and having some tense moments, but probably going to win anyways.
Yep.
So it plays well.
I touched it
in that scenario.
as I was packing my bag. I like grabbed the box and maybe, and no.
Yep.
And the only reason I put it back is because for Muhammad, I bought the mat. He had the mat, and now I like refuse to play the game without the mat. So then that means if I grab this, which is a small box, the Marvel United box is not a big box. It's a very small box.
True.
Mm-hmm.
But then I got to carry a 3 foot by 3 foot neoprene mat with me because that's the only way I'll ever play the game anymore.
Yep. I know the circular mat definitely makes it really nice and lays out and gives you that nice experience.
But I can see my mom looking at me all mean mugging when I move the pork over. Like, mommy, let's move that pernil off the table so I can lay down this neoprene mat to play this game.
There we go. Does only play to 4. I actually am now looking at my shelf here. So obviously I've had games for a couple of years, and I've had family for a couple of years as well. Silver and Gold has actually done well. Small game, really, really easy to travel with, right? Theme is not too much to write home about, has nothing to do with the holidays, but it's simultaneous play and the polyomino shapes that everyone kind of is familiar with. I have actually had very successful games with my parents. So my parents, me, and Landis, I think, played that game and had a good time. So that might actually make it, just because it's so small, right? Easy to bring. That's a good one. But
That would have been on my list, Nick,
list,
if it had more players, if it supported more players, because that's only up to 4. But that definitely would have made my list.
Yeah, again, only the 4. That is a thing, and for family now. I'm not going through. I'm not going to do a whole description of all of these games. So I don't know if you're bringing them up.
It's okay. I'll take the content. Like, I'm looking for free call-in content.
There you go. But my number 1, and I knew this would be so funny. I knew Wingspan is 5. I knew what my number 1 is going to be, and it's not a game that would be on anyone's normal number 1 spot. Although, Carlos, you did mention it earlier in the show and stole my thunder a little bit, so maybe it's not out of left field, and that is Captain Sonar. Captain Sonar is my favorite game to play with a group, and I'm not talking crazy talk. I actually did bring it to I think on this trip 2 years ago. I brought it, and we had an 8-player game. Me, my cousins, my sister, we were there, and it was good. It wasn't a like, oh my God, stand up crazy thing like some of those games can be, but everyone had fun. Everyone said they would do it again. It was loud, it was raucous, and it was a good time. And obviously playing up to 8 is a nice feature there. So it was that I have brought that to a family get together, and we played it, and it was good. So that's actually my number 1. Although I will say, because I don't own Ready Set Bet, because otherwise, there you go. That would
be the right answer
for the same reasons. For the same reasons of that simultaneous zany fun that like just has people standing at the table, shouting, yelling, going like whatever. It's that same actual experience more than a game that you're hunting for that moment, I think. So.
And you're waiting for the deluxe edition.
And I'm waiting for the deluxe edition. Oh yeah,
the Rox Lee deluxe edition of Ready Set Bet.
Yeah. Nick and I are waiting for that one.
I wanted to come. I wanted to come with the voice talent of one mic, one game. So that every roll of the dice is automated. I get to hear him call it out. That's because that's my experience. That's my experience playing at Your Turn Con. Right?
Oh, that's awesome.
Was Mike called the game. So.
See, my thought. Okay, so I wanted to ask this of Mike during the top 5 conversation, but I knew we were going into the hour. Like, we wanted to keep it within an hour. Mike brought it up with Escape from the Aliens from Outer Space. I think I got that right.
Close enough, yeah.
We drink when we eat, and then you add that hidden role piece. You add that hidden movement piece of like what you're talking about, Nick, with Captain Sonar. Right, where people have hidden jobs, hidden roles, and then you're introducing the game to a new group. They ask questions which ruin the game, things like, hey, but I'm the alien. Why can't I go there? Oh, like, how do you get past that?
You play those before.
And don't tell me don't drink. That's not an option.
No, you
So
play,
you
those
play before you drink.
You play that first and then drink.
Yeah.
It's tougher to teach those hidden movement, hidden role games to a new group.
You drink enough so that it doesn't matter if they get it right or wrong. We're just here having a good time. There you go.
Nick, you're a road trip. Are you do a road trip up to Maryland? Is that what you guys are heading up there?
That's right. That's right. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You need more Sagamore rye. Is that what you need?
No, I got a brother for that. I was hell and bring it down next time. There you go. Carlos still got it right there.
Carlos is breaking his out.
Oh no, it's not mine. It's Nick's. I just had him leave it here last time. This is I'm holding him hostage for making Nick to come back.
Well, no, actually,
bring that apiary.
Yeah, actually, there you go. Actually, it's a good point. Obviously, not next Thursday, but maybe let's do the Thursday or two after that. Axe throwing is on holiday break now. There's no Waddle axe throwing leagues all the way through like January 11th, or the early January is when the next season starts.
Listen, I'm not above holding people's liquor hostage in order to get games played. Like,
yeah. Well, you've not only have my Sagamore whiskey, but you've got my copy of Sleeping Gods. So we got to get that played at some point too.
Did you see the announcement of the new version of the Jaws of the Lion version of Sleeping Gods? Did you see that, Nick?
No, I didn't. No, I did not.
They are coming out with a new version of, well, not a different version of Jaws of the Lion, not Jaws of the Lion, of Sleeping Gods, but it's a much more railroaded version. So it's like the Spiral Bound Notebook, but it's more linear. It's a river excursion, so it's linear, right? So you don't have that open sandbox, but you nowhere near the amount of time you need to finish it as compared to Sleeping God. So I'm and I think it fixes the combat mechanism too to clean that up a bit, which is one of the detractors for the game.
Right.
It was the one that was advertised with the Kickstarter, the second Kickstarter. Also,
yes,
I think it was available as like a print and play or whatever. But they're releasing it as well. Yep.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, and you're right. The combat. Whenever there was a scenario that required combat, it was like a whole other game as far as complexity and game and length. It was like, oh, okay, time to do a combat now. Here we go. So yeah, that was a little clunky. I will say. Just because I named 4 games and I'm looking here to find a fifth. I might even do a fifth and an honorable mention because they're right next to each other. Rolling Realms, which is actually a new addition to my collection. Obviously not a new game, but new to my collection. I just remember having a lot of fun, Carlos, at your place with that, and I did pick up a copy of that as well as several of the realms. But then that actually is the honorable mention. Somewhere in the 3 or 4 range, I might even throw 5-minute dungeon in there. 5-minute dungeon checks more of those boxes on real time, zany fun, cooperative. That is also very simple to teach and play. And I've had really good success just having and now you're talking about drinking. Drinking's good to go, right? You're just smashing symbols and smashing cards down, right?
Beer and pretzels.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bust out Red Dragon Inn if you want to drink while playing.
There you go.
Yeah. You know what? I see. So funny you mentioned that, Wayne. Red Dragon Inn was one of the games that I one of the first games I actually was like, you know what? I'm going to have them all because they kept releasing copy, characters and stuff.
Good luck.
I wanted it to be a fun adult drinking game that was nerdy, but still like a real game, and then yes, a drinking game. And it for me in that context just wasn't fun. It fell flat. It was too slow. It was too much skill of a game, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And no one was drinking enough. If you just drank when the game made you drink, then it was like, no, I'm never going to make it through my beer, So it didn't actually work. There's a little tangent there. That was literally my goal, was to make that be a adult game night. Don't think board game day like we do, right? But more of like bring over your non-gamer friends and have a raucous kind of night. And I tried it, and it was like, oh, well, we would have drank faster if we were just drinking our beers, you know? But anyways, sad little story there. Yeah. But 5-minute dungeon, I've had some good fun slamming down cards and going, oh, this, you know, whatever. Good moments there. So.
I think your liver was thankful for Red Dragon Inn.
Yeah. Probably.
There you go. But no, yeah. So I'm excited. I'm really glad you guys had the show, because I admit I had not thought about what games I was going to bring, and I think I just kicked out 5 plus 6.
There you go.
So there you go.
All right, we're gonna give Wayne a raise. We're gonna give him a 20% raise for coming up with this idea.
There you go.
So on the 0 that you're making now.
Right.
That's right. 20% 0. 20% 0 is good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nick,
man,
are you watching the live stream right now? Are
Right.
you watching the show?
I was watching it though on my phone, and am now.
Now you're on the phone.
Now you're on the phone. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay.
Do you have
Cool.
something cool on the screen?
No. I'll message you separately.
Okay.
My brother's at the Ravens game
My man.
tonight. Was sending some photos, so I was gonna share a photo of it. So.
Oh, okay. Very good. I'll go get back to watching it then when I hang up here. That'd be good.
Thank you, Mr. Oben.
Sweet.
Yes, sir. You guys have a great night.
Have a safe drive.
See you, man.
Bye bye.
That was Nick Oben.
So Nick Oben. Yeah. Thanks, Nick. So Diego here saying that the 25th century version of Green Team Wins have 12 players. Target cuts it down to 6. It's like, thanks for telling me that 2 seconds after I bought 2 copies for Target.
Well, it was $5. It was $5 off. Plus, I had like Target bucks, so it ended up being like $26 after tax and everything.
Yeah, so that might be cheaper than the 25th century version.
It might be. Yeah, I just hope it can all fit in one box. We'll figure it out.
I just thought of a game. I'm going to share my screen again. A game that I'm probably going to bring now, because I wasn't thinking about it until just now. Is so
we have an
Grand
amendment
Gamers,
to the list.
Amendment, yeah. So Grand Gamers Guild has a series of 18 card escape room games, tiny little packs, 18 cards, and there's an app you can do online, and it's called the Holiday Hijinks line. And so they have a pack for every holiday. And I totally forgot that I actually just got earlier this year the Turkey Trial, which is the Thanksgiving theme one, and so they have one for Christmas, one for birthdays, one for the 4th of July. One for Halloween, and so I will probably bring this little 18 card escape room game with me as well, because 18 cards you can't put in your pocket, right? So I kind of like it. So the Turkey Trial from the Holiday Hijinks Grand Gamers Guild, and like I said, they have one for every major holiday. I think they've let's say Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, 4th of July, birthdays, Easter, maybe Groundhog Day. So they kind of have them for most of the holidays now. They've 7 or 8 of these out. So, and they're pretty. So if you like escape rooms, think about this, a little 18 card escape room game from the Grand Gamers Guild. So.
Very cool. Yeah, I've never heard of that series before. That's neat.
Yeah, I like them.
So Carlos, I saw you playing some games over there in ICU. What were you busting out?
I'll tell you what, the experience I had with the last kid 2 years ago was different. We were in the mother's room because she was recovering from her surgery. So I had table space. I had I had my own couch. I had a table. I was playing like Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. But with this kid, we were in this younger, the new baby was in the NICU, and the NICU is much tighter. There's no couch. There's no bed for anyone to stay in. There's only a recliner. So when I spent the night there, I spent the night in a recliner, and you get this like tiny little tabletop that kind of like a rolling top, like less than 16 by 16 inch space to play on. So I had brought, thinking, okay, I can read like a redo. I can bring some of the bigger games and enjoy. I just didn't have the space. So what I ended up playing was General Orders. It's the new game from Osprey Games by David Thompson. And I can't remember the other name. Anyway, it's a worker placement World War II game. I was able to it's a 2-player game. It's not solo. There's no solo rule set for it. I just kind of play back and forth to kind of get an understanding of the rules. but that was able to fit on that small board. And then outside of that, I think some Jaipur between my wife and myself.
Okay.
Got to play around with the Jaipur pieces. They barely fit on that. That tells you how small of a table I had, Wayne, if I couldn't really fit Jaipur on there.
Yeah, that's pretty tight.
So it was different. It was very different. So really what I ended up doing.
I'm sorry, you hadn't played Jaipur before, right? This was the first
No.
time you played it? Okay.
Yeah, it was just kind of toying around with the BGA app to understand it better, and I wanted to get it to the table. But the rules tell you to spread out the chips, the scoring chips in Jaipur, so that everyone has an opportunity to see what the spread is. So when you spread it all out, I kind of ran out of room.
Nah, I usually just leave them all stacked up in reverse order.
And well, I guess once you're experienced as a player, you can recognize when the points begin to drop. As you sell your goods in Jaipur, you get to take the chips with the higher points first. So you really want to rush to get those chips and get those higher points. And kind of the bottom of the stack tend to be one value.
Right.
But then there's the balancing act where if you sell sets of greater numbers, so like multiples, like a set of 4, you then begin getting the bigger bonus chips.
Yep.
So like for selling sets of 3, 4, or 5 cards at one time. So there's that race to it, which I enjoy the idea of, where you're trying to decide, do I just want to sell one good so that I can grab that first big point chip, even though I don't get the bonus for waiting till I had 3 of the same good to sell.
Yeah, that usually happens like with the red. Like if you see someone, there's a red out there and you grab it, I go, oh, he's grabbing reds. I only have 2. I really want 3, but the first 2 reds are 14 points. I just sell 2 reds and take the 14 to mess you up from being able to get a big run. Yeah, that's a good game. Jaipur's in my top 5 2-player games. So.
Chester says, got to get them camels.
Yeah. It's a great game.
I love that mechanism for the camels.
Yeah. Jaipur is probably my number 2 of 2-player games.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's up there.
I need to get more plays before I make that decision.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's really all I got played the 9 days that I sat in the NICU. But I did instead of that, I did a Lord of the Rings movie marathon with the new boy. So I figured I'd play a war game.
Nice.
It was hilarious. The doctors, they do their rounds every morning for the new babies. So 9 a.m. comes around, and I've been up since 6 a.m. with the baby. And I'm playing general orders on that little table. Doctor's like, oh, what are you playing? I'm like, oh, it's just a little 2-player war game. She's like, oh, who are you playing with? And I'm like, him? And I'm holding the baby.
Nice.
Don't judge me.
No judgment going on here, man.
Any new plays for y'all? Any recent plays? Phone lines are open. 813-618-7099 is the number. You still got time to call in. Keep it a call-in show.
Yeah, I had
any
a
new
game
plays
day last week. Yeah, I had a game day last weekend. We played a few different games. I know I played Caesar's Empire, which
I saw.
I
gave you the big star eyes.
Yeah, because I wasn't a fan of that when we played it, but it worked out well. The last time we did this week.
Is that the 2-player one?
No, that's the one that Chris Yee really loved, and it's like plays up to 4. It's good.
Okay.
It was fun. But what's interesting, Carlos, I learned that game company's going out of business.
Really? Holy Grail?
Yeah.
Was it Holy Grail Games? I can't remember.
I can't remember, but yeah. But one of the guys in
I was trying to find the box.
Yeah. One of the guys in the game group this weekend, he's worked for Mayfair Games. He used to work with C. Jackson Games, so he's kind of a industry insider guy. And he was like, "Yeah, this game is going to get expensive because it's not in print, and the game company is out of business. So it's not going to get the expansions we were hoping for." So we played that and a few other games. It was good. It was it's funny as my one friend, he's got a young baby, not a young baby. They think he just turned 1 or 2 or 3. So he's young, whatever. And so we went over there and he's like, well, he's still awake. So we got to kill some time. So we played a couple Hobby games and stuff and played the Hobby game Monza, which is kind of like Formula Day. It was kind of interesting. It's a little racetrack and you had dice, and on each side of the dice, there was a different color. And the track, every square on the track was different colors. And so you got to move your car if you could match the color with the dice. So you would roll 6 dice, and if you could go, okay, there's a red square in front of me, and I can go red to yellow and yellow to white and white to blue, blue to green, then I use all my 6 dice, and that's how you move. And if you can't use them, you just don't move. So it's kind of this little introduction to race game for little kids. Monza, little yellow, not yellow, yellow box, Haba. So Haba.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we played a couple other games. So it was fun. It was good to get a little game day in. So
I was glad to see Caesar's Empire getting played. I really do believe there's more to that game than most people think. I think that there are some strategies that people can spam against new players, right? So new player may not see that they need to stop that player from doing that. In the same way that Blood Rage will allow someone to run the Loki strategy against new players, right? So I want to see that game get more plays. Hello, chat. Still sitting in the chat. What's good? We're talking Thanksgiving games. Phone lines are open. 813-618-7099 is the number. And now we're talking about games that you're playing during the holidays, but now we're talking about recent plays.
Recent plays. Oh, Hadara. I got a game, physical.
Oh, such a good game.
With expansions too, which was good.
I'm sorry, expansions? Tell me more.
Yeah. So, so we play with, I think, 2 or 3 of the mini expansions. So come up with different cards for some of the epochs. So different scoring cards or different things. It was a set of cards. It was interesting. So like in Hadara, it's kind of like 7 Wonders. You're building sort of a tableau of cards, which then gives you more power, more military, more influence, more food.
They represent the people of your civilization.
Right. But as you buy more cards, so if you have a military card, the next time you buy a military card, the cost is reduced by 1, because for every military card you own, you reduce the cost by it. In one of the expansions, there were a whole bunch of cards, Carlos, where when you bought that card, it was a crap ton of military, like say 4 or 5 military. But when you played it into your tableau, you lost the ability for discount for every military after that card. So if it was so if it was the first military card you bought, it gave you 4 military, but then that was the only.
You're not using it to go towards the discount of future military cards,
or every military card you buy after that doesn't give you a discount. So if you bought that card first and then ended up buying 3 or 4 more military cards after it, you don't get the discount. You got to pay the full value. But so it was like this trade-off of, well, it gives you this one-time,
one action, action efficiency. So for 1 drafted card, I can fill like my need of military.
But then for the rest of the game, I won't get a discount for any additional military cards I buy. Anything before it, you still get the discount, but anything after it. So it was this interesting. There was a couple of different variants of cards that sort of spiced up the decisions, because they would give you some additional benefits, or like it was cool. So yeah, he had like 5 or 6 different expansion packs for it. So it was interesting. I didn't even know there was those.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was good. It's another one of those friends that's got like a board game collection of a couple 1,000 games, and you're like, how do you track all this stuff, dude? So
how do you remember the rules, man? That's you can only touch those games so often. Some of those rules got to be forgotten.
Well, I think it is. So the guy I'm talking about, Bill, he was a demoer. He would go to every con and demo games, and he was like a professional demoer, teacher. He worked for Mayfair, and he was like the guy that would go to all the game stores and say, hey, I've got these 5 Mayfair games. I'm going to set them up and teach people, and hopefully they buy them from you, from the game store and things like that. So
cool.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was interesting. Yeah. So, but yeah, now I really want to get a copy of Hadara, and I want some of the expansion packs for it too. So
that was a great flea market find.
Oh God, I'm mad that you got that.
I got so lucky on that. The table next to me had it. He was buying.
Too, right?
He was buying coasters from me. So I was like, "Hey, let's go."
Yeah, it's Mike. If you've not played Hadara, it's an underrated game that I think replaces and freshens up the concepts behind 7 Wonders. So if you like 7 Wonders at all, but it's gotten stale, Hadara is that with more.
Yeah, I've never played it
tracks.
before.
When he says more, he means tracks, and that's what gets Robin. The tracks.
Yeah, it's more tracks, more tracks. You have to, like, you have the food track, and you have to have.
You got to feed your people.
Feed your people. So for every card you get in your tableau, it's a person. So if you have 10 people in your 10 cards, you have to have your food track up to 10 because you have to feed those people, right? If you don't do it, you got to discard a card. Then you have military.
Raise your hand if you haven't been able to feed people. This guy. Like, I thought I had the most beautiful tableau, and then we get to the end of the era, and it's like, all right, feed your people. I'm like, oh, Nikes. Completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
And then you have to get rid of them. You have to get rid of people down until you get to your food number.
Yep. Then you have like income, and you have an income track, and then that gives you in between there's 2 phases in each epoch, and you get money, and that's your money to buy more cards to get more people. Then
it's got kind of like that Biblios thing, Mike, where there's every age has 2 phases to it. There's the one where you're drafting cards, so you're picking one and burning one. But then there's the second part of that phase where all the cards you burnt are now being distributed. So I love that feeling from Biblios, that whole idea of I'm kind of seeing I'm taking what I can use now, but I also have to make some decisions on what do I want to leave for later. Right. Oh, it's so good. Hadara is so good.
You're trying to remember what cards people buried, because then in that second phase, everyone's picking a card from the top, and you're like, well, I know that there's a really good military down there, so I'll pass this time because I want someone else to take that card first because I know there's a better one later. And then you have like carving statues or doing monuments. It's fun. It takes 7C and some of the concepts of that pick and pass from 7C and sort of building your civilization, and adds not as much more complexity, because I don't think it's that much more complex than Seven Wonders, but it freshens that gameplay up drastically. It's really a good game.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely keep that in mind. I don't think anybody in my game group has that, but it sounds like something I would definitely enjoy.
Yeah, it is on BGA if you play BGA at all, but it just got released on BGA in the last month or 2. So,
gotcha.
Which that could be a good sign, right? Because if it's still sort of game's a couple of years old now, I think, and having now a BGA implementation, people are playing it. It may drive demand where it gets kind of reprinted.
Yeah, definitely.
Any recent plays for you, Mike?
The last game I played was Dune. That was the 3rd time I've played that. Like, this is the classic Dune from 79. My gaming group.
That's the area control one, right? The big board.
Yeah, it's the big round board. You got the storm going around. All the factions. I think I talked about this last week. This was the oldest new game to me for 2023. And I've seen it. I saw that they re-released it, and I was kind of like, I'm not a big Dune person. It's just,
I think it was called Rex. Like FFG did a version of it called Rex.
The non-Dune themed version of it.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, my friend got his copy back before the re-release, and he had all the print and play files and actually sent them off to be professionally printed. So he's got like wooden tokens for all the leaders, and and he's got like all the factions, like all the expansion factions. And so we try to introduce 1 or 2 new factions every time that I've played with them, at least. But the more I play it, the more I'm enjoying it. This was the 2nd time that I've been the ambassador, who, if you're familiar with as you're buying the cards every round, instead of the money going into the pot, you're collecting the money from everybody else. So money really isn't that much, or I should say spice. Spice isn't much of an issue for you. But I was playing like wild and woolly in this game. Like, I'm sending all my guys in, right off the bat. And of course, all of them are dying immediately. So by the end of the game, when it ended, I had almost like no military to send out to the planet. But,
so now you're playing your friends print and printed copy of the original rules. I don't. Do you?
Correct.
Are you familiar? I think it's 25th Century Games, or I forget who redid the newest one. Yeah, are there differences in the new printing and rules and gameplay, or is it pretty much the same? Or are you not
I
familiar?
don't know for 100%, but from what I understand, I think they streamlined some of it, or they might have taken some of the things out that you would normally do. I don't know how you could do that and still play the same game. But again, I'm not 100%. I've never played the newer version, so I don't know what
Gotcha.
the rules are for that.
It might
But
actually be Gale Force 9, I think, actually, that did the new one.
oh, probably, yeah, I think you're right. But it's just interesting to see like all the factions and the crazy powers that some of them have, and some of the cards. Like we even discussed the last time that we played. I forget the name of the card, but it basically it's an anytime play card, and when you play it, everybody loses half their spice. Everybody at the table loses half their spice, which can totally ruin that entire round for people. So we kind of agreed that we would take that card out of the game for that round. But yeah, it's the more I play it, the more I enjoy it. I just need to. I think I'm being slick sometimes. Like, when you're thinking about, oh man, this move would be so perfect, and then you make it, you're like, that was a stupid move. What the hell did I do that for? Like, you just didn't think it all the way through. I've done that so many times in this game, and it's like I really need to think through exactly what's going to happen at the end instead of trying to be slick.
You don't
but
think
again,
about the ramifications of their move. The move looks cool, but then you go, oh, after the fact, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, exactly. So, but again, the more I play it, the more I enjoy it. And it's a longer game. It's depending on, I mean, it can end earlier, but all the games I think we played have been 3+ hours.
Yeah. See, this is a game that I'm a huge fan of the Dune universe. I've read all the books, all the movies.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to play this game, but it's also the game where it's like, if you're the noob playing, and normally when you find people playing this game, they know it. Just like TI or some of the other games. It's like, so you know that you're going to get your ass kicked the first 4 or 5 times you play this game because you're the noob that doesn't know all the cards and doesn't know how it plays. Is that similar feeling in this game? You think like if I played it with you guys, I'm going to get crushed the first few times because there's a level of you have to know the cards before you really understand it.
Well, the basic gist of the game is actually like the phases of each round. They make a lot of sense. Like, the storm moves, and then you're putting your guys out onto the planet, and you're trying to collect spice, and the winning, how you win is very straightforward. But there are also times where you are making alliances with other clans, so that's where like the help kind of comes in. And if you're playing with the right group, which I believe I was playing with the right group, they're like, okay, well, you're, the ambassador, you probably want to join forces with this other clan over here. That way you kind of play off of each other's powers. Because when you join up, some of you have like a power that the other player can use and vice versa. So if you can play off of each other, it gives you a better chance at winning the game.
Kind of like Rising Sun?
I guess kind of like that.
Team up and share a little bit of each other's special abilities?
Of the powers, yeah. And if you know the Dune lore, if you're familiar with Dune, you would be more into it. And again, I never read the books. I never really watched the first release of the movie. I watched the re-release, and then I went back and watched the first release. And it's just like, okay, that's cool. I like the Dune universe, but I'm not like head over heels like some people are.
Sure. So you watched the most recent movie and then went back and watched the 1980s movie?
Yeah,
I did that.
Mistake.
I did the same thing.
No, it's not a big mistake.
I'm joking.
It was. It was creepy.
It shows how far it's come, But anyway.
Come on, the cast of the 1980s movie is fantastic.
It is. It is a very good cast. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. But like, for argument's sake, in this last game that we played, I did a big no-no, which in the Dune universe, you would know the lore that because if if 2 clans are occupying a stronghold, then you guys are going to fight at the end of that round. And then you pick your leader, you have a dial, you pay your spice for how many of your guys in the space that you're going to use. And then you can play up to 2 cards. You can play a defense card and you can play an attack card. Well, there's different types of cards. So you have like a poison shield or a laser shield, and then you have your weapon or whatever. I made the mistake of playing a I think it's the projectile shield and some kind of special laser, where if the two interact, it basically creates a nuclear explosion and everybody dies in that region. Well, I thought the other player had to play the shield. And if you know the lore in Dune, it's like, well, because, this, frequency with this particular thing, it's going to cause a nuclear.
Right.
I had no idea. I just played both cards at the same time. I was thinking, all right, well, I'm going to defense against his. And if he plays a defense, I'm just going to blow the hell out of everybody. Well, he didn't play any cards that particular one, because that's kind of like you reveal, kind of like Scythe. You pick your dial number, you have cards behind the thing, and you reveal. And like I revealed, and they're like, "What the hell did you do that for?" I was like, "What?" They're like, "Dude, you
Who
just
brought this
destroyed
guy?"
everybody in this region. What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I thought you had to play it." And I mean, it was just like a laugh, and everybody's good about it. But now I know for next time, if I ever want to like really cause everybody to lose in that area, get the shield and whatever this. But I forget the name of the weapon, but I'm sure people are like yelling out, "It's this!" But I think if you play with the right group that aren't going to totally wipe the floor with you, like they want you to enjoy the game, like this group has, I think it'll definitely be a very enjoyable experience, especially for somebody that knows the Dune universe.
Yeah,
So,
I like it.
and like by the third game, my friend was like, "So are you liking this game?" I was like, "Yeah, I freaking love this game." He's like, "Awesome." So he's like, "I've got another Dune player that I can consistently invite to play," because it's hard to find people that want to play that game.
Right, especially a game that's so dated.
Right. And it holds.
up
I mean,
well.
it holds up today. Definitely.
Nice. I'm surprised you've never read the books. It seems like
Just never interested me. I don't know why.
they're
Some
deep.
things.
They're pretty.
Yeah, and maybe
they're
I
not an
will
easy
dive
read.
into them at some point. Yeah.
What I found, I always tell people. So, and this is, I think I told Carlos this a while back. So, the two things I would recommend if you want to read the Dune books is one, read the appendices first, right? Because there's in most copies of the Dune first book, there's a couple chapters in the appendices that give you a background on it's like 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago, and gives you some mindset of where the world is coming from. And then two, I always read the book while also listening to the audiobook, because the pronunciations of things, and the way, once you get that down, then things flow in. Because what's interesting is so Frank Hubert he was a journalist, and he was a journalist in the Middle East, and so during, I think there was like the Arab uprising, there was a couple of so a lot of the lore of Dune is actually based in some history of like 1800s, late 1800s, early 1900s, Iran, that whole Turkey area, like in the Middle East. So there's a lot of lore that he uses, and I think one thing that's interesting is like I love this concept, and it's going to be so the Bene Gesserits, the mothers, right? So like Paul's mother in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why the Atreides, when they come to Dune, are viewed as like the Messiah already is like, so before you had like faster than light travel, before you could go from this planet across the galaxy because of spice, it took thousands of years, right, to cross the galaxy. So the Bene Gesserits thousands of years ago sent out these missionaries all over the galaxy. And they had like a playbook of, okay, if you land on a planet, leave these seeds of a story for a Messiah.
Oh, geez.
Right. And so because 1,000 years from now or 100 years from now, or whatever, a Bene Gesserit may land, and she'll recognize the folklore of this planet, and she can immediately start fulfilling it, because she knows it's one of these.
The game plan.
So, 1,000 years ago, a Bene Gesserit landed on Dune and started leaving the seeds of who would be the Messiah for this planet. And so when the Atreides land on Dune, and Lady Jessica is going, she's looking around and going, okay, they're calling me the Mahdi. They're calling my son the Mahdi.
They've checked all these boxes.
She immediately knows how she can then position her family and kids to fulfill the prophecy of the planet. And that concept of like, okay, an organization going, okay, 1,000 years from now, we're going to have people that let's send people out ahead and seed the folklore and the religion and the stories of a planet, so that when we get there, we can just
see the Bene Gesserit in the game. I don't know if you're familiar with how that particular faction plays in the game.
I'm not. Yeah.
Okay, so anytime that another faction will put units in a stronghold, the Bene Gesserit can drop an advisor in that same stronghold. And they're flipped, so they're not really in an attacking position. They're just advisors. And you can keep stacking them and stacking them and stacking them. And at the beginning of every round, you can choose to flip them over to be military. But the other thing that they can do is before the game starts, once everybody picks their faction and everything, the Bene Gesserit has 2 stacks of cards. One stack is the round numbers, and the other stack is all the factions. If you can and you pull one card out of each one, like you look at them and you try and figure it out. So if you can predict the round and the faction of when the game actually ends, like if that's the faction that actually wins on that round, actually you end up winning the game and everybody else loses.
Right.
So it's like they have this prophecy, so it really, and with you explaining that like
now
I'm getting goosebumps because it
Yeah.
makes so much sense why they did that in the game now.
Yeah.
So
I think
you would understand all that.
Yeah, I probably would. Yeah. But I think that of all the sci-fi fantasy I've read, like all the books I've read, that concept of this organization of people knew that they were going to be traveling the universe for thousands of years. And let's go ahead and precede. Let's send a couple of people ahead of us and let's precede various stories. And they have like a playbook of what story and what planet would work, so that any Bene Gesserit who ends up on a planet, she could immediately go to her playbook and go, okay, I need to
secret decoder ring and figure
I need
out.
to play this. I need to play this role on this planet, and the people will love me. It's
and the other thing that the Bene Gesserit can do is I forget what they call it, but when you get into a battle, or if you are aligned with them and you're in a battle, you can tell the other person that you're fighting, you're not allowed to use poison shields, or you cannot use this type of weapon. So it's kind of like, what you said, like people are listening to you because you're part of that. Very neat. Yeah. By you saying that, it makes me want to actually learn more about the
lore. The lore is super deep. Yeah, and it goes way back. So
very
that's
cool.
That's all. I like it.
You see Chad Stilson put in the chat asking us about Storm Raiders from Argus Games, upcoming Shem Phillips design. And while we were chatting there, I pulled it up.
Okay, pull it. Can you show it on the screen?
I want to share it here. It's kind of interesting because I'm getting a lot of the feels for the Dune game we're talking about.
I love Shem Phillips, man. That guy's a genius.
So this is the splash page for Storm Raiders, Shem Phillips, Arcus Games. And then I started going down into the pictures. I'm like, oh, geez, this is very similar to the game we're talking about.
Yeah.
The older Dune title.
Oh, man.
Is Argus Games his company? Is that that's the?
I think there's a team of folks.
Okay.
But he's like Shelfie Stacker. I know is one he did.
Garfield Games.
Garfield Games. Yeah,
so
that's the one.
So interesting.
But he also did Shelfie Stacker. Yeah, so he's on this team here. But then you look at the board and you start to see kind of the feels for the older Dune game.
Oh man, this has table presence for days, man.
And then there's some a storm that rotates around the board. So it's like you were talking and I'm reading this and I'm like, oh, it's kind of like this new Storm Raiders game.
This is why I can't watch Kickstarter stuff like this anymore, man. Because I'm so excited just by seeing that one picture, man. Like I'm gonna have to research that. I'm gonna be going down the rabbit hole tonight on this one.
There you go.
Thanks, Chad.
Report back next
thanks,
week
Chad.
for us.
Yeah, I definitely have to report. Yeah, man, the player board there, that looks and it's got dice. I like dice personally. I know some people that don't care for it.
Yeah, that looks cool.
It very much reminded me of the Dune game we're talking about. Because I think that was it was an 80s game.
79
when you played
was when it came
79?
out. Yeah.
Long time ago.
Very cool.
Pre-Malone.
All right. Well, as soon as I get off with you guys, I'm going to be pulling this up and checking it out.
There you go.
Yeah, Chad says, haha, you're welcome.
It's always fun spending other people's money. I'm not gonna lie.
I tell you what, though, if you do make it to Dice Tower East, I think we got to. But I'm sure there's a copy of Dune in the Dice Tower East library.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Bust it
and by
out.
then I'm sure I've played it at least a few more times, so I'd
You
be
can
very
teach
happy
it
to
and-
teach it.
Yeah, that might be a good one. So
Yep.
I'm a huge fan.
Thank you, folks, for sharing. Mike, Wayne, for being here.
Yeah.
The folks at home for giving us more things to spend money on. Always appreciated.
I mean, I already bought a game while we were on the shows. I bought two of the same.
That's a first for you. Carlos and I have done it twice now.
More than twice.
Yeah, I've done it.
And there was
I
one
know
time I bought the expansion to a game. Mike, you've done this. I bought the expansion based on a
Before you even owned
recommendation.
the base game.
Right. Like, oh, that
While he
looks
was
cool.
buying
Oh,
the
it's only
game.
like $20. So I bought it. And I realized, oh, that was just the expansion.
Yeah. Oh no, I've done that intentionally. Like I've bought the expansion for when I do buy the base game, and then I
No,
know
I'll
how
buy the player mat for a game before I buy the game because I know like the play mat is going to go fastest. Like they'll reprint the game, but those play mats, they don't reprint those.
Yes.
It's like one shot.
usually, agreed.
Next week is Thanksgiving week. I don't anticipate a show for us, but I was talking to Rob, and we'll figure something out, either a podcast that we'll drop or some kind of a video with reviews of something. We'll figure it out. Something y'all can watch on Thanksgiving. We always want to put one of those out there, but if you don't see anything live from us, it is a holiday. We are playing games and enjoying food with the family, so hopefully you will be doing the same. After that, we'll be back the week after to continue the live call-in show.
Awesome.
Anything else for them at home?
Nothing other than enjoy the holiday week. I know the kids are off all next week here in Tampa, so
Yep.
be
I want to
fun.
thank you all for your prayers and well wishes for the family. It worked. All the procedures for wifey and getting the kid out. Everything went way better than the doctors ever imagined. Like we saw that doc in the cafeteria at the hospital multiple times because we had to stay for the NICU stay, and he would continue to share like, "Wow, can't believe that worked the way it did." So I thank you all for that. So continue prayers for us and our families, and may God bless you and yours. We will catch you all on the next one, which won't be Thanksgiving, but the week after. We'll be back with more Beans and Dice live call-in show. Thanks for watching. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.